Who, me?
No,
I
Ellie.
put I hide my view, and then I put the two of you are at the top by the camera.
And I'm stacking like this instead of like this.
Mhm.
Is that what you
Yeah.
do?
Yep.
Okay.
And you can make it like wider so it goes side by side or vertical,
I'm gonna try
whatever
this.
you prefer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you guys see me?
Yes. Says we're live.
All right, cool. All right. It's a different kind of live. All right, cool. Let's jump into it. So, thank you all for paying attention to our politics and people. Once again, talking the amazing Ellie Schaefer, amazing Tom Schaefer, Toriano Sanzone, and let's just jump right into it. So, I was taking notes. Um, I'm just curious, like what you all was thinking about the debate on Monday, because some of the notes I made, they the correspondence said exactly what I said. So I'm just curious what you all saw.
Yeah. 67 million people watched the debate, which is a big number. I had a networking event and we had 60 people registered and only about 15 people showed up. And I think a bunch of people like decided not to go and watch the debate. I was really, really shocked because we usually have a much better attendance on that. So I thought it was pretty cool. Mine was kind of unique. So my perspective is going to be a little bit different because I listened to the front part of it at the restaurant on TV, and then I caught the the middle part of it on the radio, and then the end on TV. So most of my observance was more audio than visual.
Okay.
So I wasn't able to see the facial gestures and how that was coming along, but from the radio standpoint, it really sounded like Kamala Harris, came across as very intelligent, very knowledgeable on the issues, very concise. Certainly had done her homework and debate prep, and I thought really brought some fun, valid points to the argument. I thought Donald Trump was just a rambling, like, disaster car crash as it came across. And I saw Chris Wallace recap of it, and he said for as bad as Biden's debate performance was in June, this debate by Trump was just as bad. And so that was kind of interesting. And so my kind of takeaway was that Kamala Harris came across very, very well as she gets to know the American people, and Trump just came across like Trump, rambling, didn't really have a lot of policy items that he wanted to say. He just wanted to say how bad a person Joe Biden was and how bad a person Kamala Harris was, and that's fine saying it once, but over and over for 90 minutes, it was like every response had some type of bashing in there. And it's just, at what point does everybody get tired of the negative rhetoric? So I thought that's kind of was my impression about how that came across. I mean, Ellie, what are your take on it? You probably watched it in totality. Well, I know you watched it in totality in San Francisco.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was not surprised at Donald Trump's behavior. He can't help himself, and he just doesn't want to stick to the messages, and the messages of his campaign. He's got, so many Republicans are trying to get him to stay to the message of his campaign, and he just can't help himself with, personal attacks and it's just really frustrating. And I think, I think a lot of people were frustrated at that debate. I think people were looking for a little more substance. And it turned into attacks and saying crazy things. And there were a few things that he said, I will say, that left me uh, cracking up, like laughing out loud. And so, and the San Franciscans and some friends of mine never fail with good memes, right away, and group text chains send funny pictures, and as he's speaking. So that was always fun. But I think there was, like, some, as Kamala Harris does introduce herself to the American public, as you mentioned, I think there is a lot of interesting things that came out of the debate that people might be surprised about. I think one of the ones, Donald Trump was like, they're going to take away your guns. And she's been very clear since she ran for president 4 years ago, as well, that she's a gun owner. And she's like, I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz is a gun owner. We're not taking away anybody's guns, including our own. And I think that actually really surprised a lot of people. I think that, her skills in the courtroom are well known. From that standpoint, I don't think anyone was surprised at how well she did. If you saw her not only as district attorney, but as, a senator and then vice president, understanding and seeing her kind of, do the debates and tackle the debates, she's done a really good job. So she's very skilled orator on that front. So I think that, she does a really good job. I think she clearly won the debate. I don't think anybody but Donald Trump, thinks he won. Whether it moves the needle or not, we hope it does. I think there's a lot of folks who were surprised and excited. I watched quite a few of undecided voters, interviews afterwards, and it was really fun to see them and their opinion of what happened, and how it has changed who they may vote for. And a lot of the needle was moved in Kamala Harris's direction, especially from the folks who were leaning Trump. And as you mentioned, frustrated with his behavior and his antics on the debate stage. And they just said, I just can't take it anymore. And now they went from leaning Trump to leaning Harris. So they didn't commit to Harris, but they're now leaning to Harris. And that's an important move this close to the election.
Ellie, can I play like Donald Trump, like just devil's advocate today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
hey, Toriano, we lost your video feed.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
We've got a little chatter coming from your computer.
Yeah, can you hear me though?
Mm-hmm.
I can hear you. We just have some background interference on your end, along with
video. But you can hear me okay? Yeah, video. Yeah, I don't know what's happening today, but you can hear me though, okay, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to play some devil advocate and just throw at you. Do like if I'm Team Donald, and I wanted to just ask the question because I feel like this is kind of how he got underestimated before when I interviewed young Latino Americans in 21, 22. Why'd you vote for him back then? And I kept hearing the same thing. He made me remember the characters. And I'm like, the characters who? He's like, well, he made characters. And I remember them, like Little Marco, Cricket, Ted, Cricket Hillary, Little Marco, all these little names that he came up with, these politicians, which is just old, which is high. It's not even college bullying. It's not even grammar. It's like grammar school bullying 101. But then the cat meme, it's been going crazy. I mean, like I made a meme on it and got 700 hits yesterday. I mean, I thought it was gonna be the most unique, but it's like it's already cat T-shirts. I mean, then I saw that Elon Musk actually found this woman saying, if you go to Elon Musk's Twitter, he has a woman on there saying, actually, my great grandfather said, that there were cat eating in Haiti. Like, so he wasn't complete. I mean, like, so does it act as like a weird, like P.T. Barnum and Bailey, like circus, like, you want to sell tickets, go outside and start a fight. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Does that end up help as much as we don't like to admit to it? How do you compete with that kind of free marketing?
Yeah, and I mean he's a master at that, right? And I think that he is very good at bobbing and weaving and distracting from the actual subject. And I think the difference in then from previous debates is that the American people aren't buying it this time. And people are frustrated. It's fatigue on the bullying. It's fatigue on the cute nicknames that he tries, as he calls them his cute nicknames, for people. And, people are just frustrated with it and they want to get to, what is important to them. I think that, people are really frustrated with his lack of campaigning and getting out there working for the American people. He's out there. He goes down to Mar-a-Lago. He campaigns 2 to 3 days a week. And then he, sits in Florida and just, tweets out and does things like that. So people actually want to hear from him. They want to say, what are you going to do? He had 4 years as president. So, it's really hard for him to pin everything on other administrations. He's responsible for many things that he's complaining about. So he's really he boxes himself in when he starts complaining about past presidents or the past 8 years, right? He was part of that. And so it really is hard for him to, to use that argument like he did in the past. He was the outsider, right? When he ran against Hillary Clinton, he was the outsider. He was going to fix government. He ran against, Biden. He lost, and then he said he didn't, and and things like that. Well, now he's running again, and it's really hard, like I said, for him to go back and complain about past administrations because he is one. He was there, 4 years ago, and some of the policies that are impacting and that are being talked about are his policies. And so like I said, he's boxed himself in. So it's a tough one for him.
I want to ask both of you all this question, because you all have been in politics. You all like political royalty. I mean, because I just, and why I say
Kelly
that,
is political royalty.
no, I mean, you all both are. And the reason I say that, I just for people that are watching, the reason I say that because I ran for alderman, and I like for real, like I put myself at physical health. I mean, I tore up my relationship. I tore up my family. I mean, everyone thought I was out of my freaking mind, and that was running for city council. Like you all being 2 time, I don't even. That is so beyond my comprehension. Like, cause you all, your family's, governor. Like, thank you for your service. That's beyond my comprehension. So when I here's where I'm going with this question for both of you all. If Trump is such this terrible human being, and like he's talking about a president is talking about Haitians that are eating cats, and some of the stuff that he said is just completely. I mean, it's just like out there. Why isn't he getting smoked though? Like why is there even like a debate? Like why isn't he getting smoked in the polls? Why isn't he getting smoked in debates? Why isn't it just like not even fair? Like how does it always just a neck to neck tie? Because no one is saying that there's going to be a landslide. Like Biden didn't smoke him. You know what I mean? Hillary didn't smoke. She didn't even win. She didn't smoke. Like no one's smoking him. I feel like people are so against him. But with you all political background and you guys know way more than me or the average bear, why doesn't he get smoked?
Yeah, one, he's radicalized his base, and he energizes them by injecting fear. And so that gets people fired up, right? He talks about, immigrants, and people don't think of their grandparents or their parents or their great grandparents as immigrants. They think of, the stereotype that Donald Trump has created for an immigrant. And so, he injects fear into people. And that's one of the reasons that he has, had this stronghold on the party for so long. And, he talks about how, your life is so horrible. Look at what they've done. Look at what they're doing. And, for some people, that's, that makes a difference. And, he talks about how bad things are instead of how good things are and how good they could be. It's just like, there's millions of people crossing the border and we're going to stop it. He had 4 years to stop it and he didn't. He had 4 years to build the wall. He didn't. He had 4 years to have Mexico pay for the wall. He didn't. He's an ineffective leader. And people are beginning to see that, which is why you're starting to shift. But I think for so long they were blinded, by his bigness that he has created over the years. He's always been a trumpeter. He's always been the ringmaster of the three ring circus. He's always been the one that has gotten on the front page, of things. He, like that was brought up in the debate. He took a full page ad out in New York, in the papers in New York, calling for the death penalty for, the murders in New York and the guys were innocent, and so he's just always been that grand person, and you just kind of believe it, and that is starting to wear off. And so yeah, so that's starting to wear off, and he does have a stronghold with his bullying. He really strongholds the GOP, and he'll tell people, if you go against me, I'm going to withhold, and I become president, I'm going to withhold funding from your state, I'm going to withhold funding from your campaign, I'm going to campaign against you, I'm going to, and by the way, this is not insider information, this is all things he said in public. And he's like, if you go against me, I'm going to run someone against you,
But
a
Elliot,
Donald Trump supporter.
but
So,
once again, though,
people are scared.
if they're so convinced, like when people are like adamant, and I want to ask Tom this, if they think they're adamant, like he's not going to, because I know some people is like, there's no way, there is absolutely no way it's even possible that he's going to win, right? Right? Why are they afraid of him then? If I'm just playing the other side of it, because it's like I want to ask Tom the same question. Why is he not getting smoked? And then let me be less low brawl. Why isn't he being more defeated? Why isn't there a greater gap, right? And then secondly, if you believe that he's so not qualified, right? Why are you worried about not standing up against him?
Well, I think a lot of times people don't really understand what politics is all about. I think politics today is about power. It's about getting the power and keeping it. And so, to the second part of your question, why are more people standing up to him? It's because they're afraid. They're afraid that if he does win, that they will not have an opportunity to serve in the cabinet, get some of the premium chairmanships that the president has influence over producing. And so they're taking a political risk and saying, I'm going to support him because it will help me in my political career down the road. Maybe I could become agriculture secretary. Maybe I can become defense secretary. Maybe I'll be head of the FBI. If I go out there and campaign, and that's why you see these people going radical and following his tone in the Republican Party, because they're currying favors with him to get more power for them personally. So I think that's why a lot of folks aren't standing up to it. As far as why aren't the polls shifting, I've always felt 35% of the population is going to lean right and vote Republican, and 35% is going to lean left and vote Democrat. And they don't really pay a lot of attention to politics. They're focused on their day-to-day lives. They have, two income families. They're raising children. We got to get them to school. We have to do homework. We have all these after-school activities, plus a job and a career and social life, and they just don't have time to pay attention to it. So when it comes time to vote, either they don't vote because they're too busy and haven't been paying attention, or when they do go in there, they just go, I don't know anything about these candidates. I'm a registered Democrat or Republican, and I'm just going to vote down the ticket. And I'm going to vote all Republican, all Democrat. And those people are never going to, I don't think, ever really get swayed. So that coming into any election, that's where you're going to start with what your base is. Now you throw in some of the radical left, radical right. Those people are not going to change because, again, they're currying favor with, the president and the president's allies. And even if you're at local level, like we have a problem with the state chair here in Colorado of the Republican Party, because he has gone radical Trump on everybody. And the party wants to come back to centrist where it used to be. And so there's this huge, they're trying to oust him before the campaign, 2 months before. And we've got this huge party battle in the Republican Party in Colorado. So you have that part. And now it really comes down to Toriano as these undecided votes.
Right.
And let's just say there's 12 to 15% of them now that are in that middle that Ellie alluded to. Like, does the message start to offend that group? And I think by what the polling Ellie was pointing out is we are starting to see a little bit of a shift. We went into the first Biden debate with maybe just a couple, probably like 5 toss-up states, and then it shrunk down to maybe 2. Now I think Ellie mentioned it's up to like 7 legit battleground states. And so Toriano, I think we're seeing that shift where people are like, you know, I'm willing to open up my mind a little bit now, and I'm not going to believe the rhetoric. I want to see some substance behind the message. And if I can get some substance on either side, then I can make a more firm decision. And it really becomes the Harris's campaign's job to get that message out and really push that new narrative to get these undecided voters, you know, into their corner. Right. And so it'll be interesting to see in the next 60 days, are they able to do that? And I think preliminarily we are starting to see that shift. You know, the one poll I think came out yesterday is that it was like 65% of people thought Kamala Harris won the debate, and 34% said Trump. Well, you know, you're going to get 35% no matter what. So that means he lost 1 point from his Republican base. And it's like, that shouldn't happen.
Hey, Ellie, did you watch the debate? Were you
I sure did. Yeah.
I want to ask you a nerd question. These were some points that I wrote down, like from the beginning all the way to the end. Just quick little answers. I have like five things, nerd debate 101 nerd questions. Do you think that was the right decision with her choosing to be on the right versus the left?
So the way the debates are run, everything is a flip of the coin.
Okay.
So yeah. So I thought it was fine. Yeah.
Right. Do you think that her cutting across that floor, going to him, "Hi, I'm Kamala Harris," right thing?
Yes, 100%. He wasn't going to come to her, and I thought it was a great move. And there was no way he was going to shake her hand. They had never met before. They had never met face to face before, and so she just walked up and introduced herself. I don't think we need to make more of it than it is. And for her to walk up, she's like, "Kamala Harris, nice to meet you." He's like, "Let's have a great debate."
Why did you put Why did you put the VP on there? "Hi, I'm Vice President Kamala Harris." Why just "Hi, I'm Kamala Harris"?
I think it's just he knows she's the vice president. She's just and it's more personal. It's like when Barack Obama meets people, he's like, "Hi, I'm Barack," or Joe Biden meets people, "Hi, I'm Joe." George Bush meets people, "Hi, I'm George." Like it's a personal thing. There was no it's just a personal thing.
They didn't have to put extra on it. I always love asking this question regarding like debates. This is my favorite one because it's historic. The Nixon gets smoked because Kennedy just Kennedys were just beautiful human beings physically, period. Right. So Nixon didn't look good against Kennedy. And we know that historically, that was part of why he lost. Red tie versus Kamala with her outfit. I know they put a lot of thought behind that. Is there anything, this is for both candidates, is there anything that you would have done differently, especially because we live in this digital age where everyone is so visually yummy and just aesthetics, not even looking at the mouse moves, they're just looking at what they're looking at. So first time you're seeing, woman of color, white male over here, and then crisscross, you had another white male, and then you had black woman. Was there anything you would have changed clothing wise that might have helped either one of them?
No, I mean, Donald Trump usually wears a red tie or a blue tie, right? So, I mean, that's his standard outfit. So he looked exactly the same as he does, in his press conference or rallies. So he didn't change his outfit. And I think the same thing with Kamala Harris, the same outfits that she wears. So no, I think that, I wouldn't have changed anything on that front.
Okay. That you don't feel like that didn't move the needle at all for either one of them?
No, I think that, I don't, and everybody's so used to Donald Trump now with his, he started his own fashion line, right, of ties and can't remember if he did suits, but he did ties for a long time. I don't know if he's still doing them, but it's kind of his thing, so I don't think he changed. And I think if you look at, I don't think either one of them drastically changed any type of outfits or attire or anything like that. So.
Last nerd question, and
I love it.
I wrote this down, and the commentator right after immediately right after the end of the debate, I'm flipping back and forth. MSNBC, CNN, Fox, and two people said like, yeah, nice 3-on-1. You know, do you feel that? Was there any sign? Because I felt one time I did feel like I forget her name. I felt like she put a little extra on it that was like
Yeah.
not keeping it. This is just me nerding out as being a broadcast major.
Sure.
Like she put a little extra on it that was like it was slight, but it still was there. I don't feel like it was a 3-on-1.
Yeah.
And the one time it did happen, it was one time, but someone stood up said 3-on-1.
I think a couple things. One is I watched it with some friends and understanding that, we were in the liberal bubble of San Francisco, currently now in Arizona, but we were in the liberal bubble of San Francisco. The first thing we did was start calling our Republican friends and people outside of San Francisco to see what they thought. And we were FaceTiming people and being like, what did you think? And they knew, they knew we were going to do it. And so I was just, curious. And so it was really good to get other people's opinion. And, some people said, that I have a friend who's a journalist who gave the journalist perspective of that. And she said, as a moderator, it's their job to kind of get the facts, right? And get the candidate to answer the question. And so when the moderator pushes, it's usually because they're letting a candidate, regardless of the candidate, get away with something. And they have a tendency to push like, that's not the question that we asked. We asked, what do you want for breakfast? And they're like, oh, this, steak and eggs are so good here for dinner. And it's like, what do you want for breakfast? And so I think there was like probably a frustration on the moderator's part that they weren't getting the answers to the questions they were asking. And, I did feel like they pushed Donald Trump a little bit, but he also deserved it, in my opinion. His answers were just totally off the wall on some of the things, and they were just like, okay, let's get back to the question we asked. And so, but was also really good to, get other people's perspective, so it wasn't just a bunch of people in a room, high-fiving each other about how great she did. And so, going out to some friends we have in North Dakota, some friends on the East Coast, some friends who are journalists. I have a friend down in Texas, kind of getting out there and seeing what they thought right away. And, it was a mix. I didn't have anybody say they didn't think Donald Trump won. A couple people thought, the journalists were harder. I think we called like 8 people that night. I think 2 people had said they thought the moderators were a little harder on Trump than they were on Harris. But they also thought she gave more succinct answers, and that's her, her expertise of being a prosecutor and getting to a succinct answer, and argument, end of an argument pretty quick, whereas Donald Trump rambles. So, there's definitely a different orator style. A lot of people, the other thing that was pointed out to me from a journalist, which I thought was pretty interesting, and, journalists are supposed to be neutral, was a lot of times when you give a long answer, people think it's a better answer. And when you give a short answer, if somebody says, how's the weather? Beautiful. If you ask somebody else, how's the weather? It's clear. It's 106 today here in Arizona. Blue skies, a 10-degree, wind. Like, they think you're getting more information, but it's like, what's the information, right, that you're getting? And a lot of times when Donald Trump talks, he talks in circles and then eventually gets to the point. But a lot of people feel that when you talk longer, you're getting a better answer, whether you are or not. And so I think that's something also to pay attention to in that front where, Kamala Harris answered the question and like, I answered it. I don't need to keep going.
Last
So,
last nerd question. They
yeah.
right when it ended, they said debate number 2. Was that just more hype, or is that actually going to happen?
I mean,
when Team Harris said we want round 2.
yeah.
Do they really want that, or is that just kind of just lip service?
Donald Trump had been teasing that he wanted to do another debate. And I think it was October. And and he even announced the date and said it. I can't remember who it was with, and they were like, sure, well, anytime, any place, let's do it. He went into the spin room right after the debate, said he would, he'll see, but he was the clear winner. And now, as you saw last night or early this morning, he's announced that he wasn't going to do another debate. It doesn't benefit him. He only loses votes when he debates. So oddly, it's a smart move for him to not debate again, because he just keeps losing votes when he debates.
Yeah. So then probably the next question is, do we think that the vice presidential debate will still happen?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, JD Vance is itching to go. Tim Walz is, itching to go. Tim Walz was doing debate prep. Both have been doing debate prep, ready to go. I don't see why they wouldn't, except my only thing is that JD Vance is a little bit of a drag on Trump's ticket, and they have clearly been, when Donald Trump said, "Well, I don't talk to him," and it was like, why wouldn't you talk to your vice presidential candidate? And he's distances himself a little bit from JD Vance. I think one of the things you have is it in the Trump's best interest to debate? And no vice presidential candidate in history has ever decided a presidential debate. So if they backed out, meaning the JD Vance Trump team backed out, then it wouldn't surprise me. But I don't think it's going to make a difference, other than giving people an opportunity to meet the candidates, because a lot of people don't know JD Vance or Tim Walz. So just be an opportunity for them to meet. I don't know that they'll get into any serious policy debate. Partly Tim Walz was in Congress, but he also, governor of Minnesota, very different managing and very different governing philosophy than a U.S. senator. So, you're going to be talking apples and oranges when they debate on a lot of things. So I think that might get lost in the shuffle for the American people. It wouldn't surprise me either way if they dropped off, but it's just, an opportunity for everybody to get to know them a little bit more.
This is an interesting question. I don't know the answer to this, so maybe I'm afraid to ask it, but does it matter if the vice presidents have a debate or not? Does it matter? Do their results, do their performance, do people care? How well that vice president debate goes. I mean, let's just say it's a disaster for Tim Walz and JD Vance knocks it out of the ballpark. Is that going to move the needle with that 12 to 15% of undecided voters that are trying to figure out where to go? Does anybody nobody ever remembers the presidents? I mean, so does anybody really care about the election? So Ellie, from your inside perspective, and then Toriano from your perspective, because did Dan Quayle have a debate? Against Mondale?
That was the great potato. That was the great potato debate.
Great potato debate.
Potato.
And they were teasing him that he didn't know how to spell potato.
P-O-T-A-T-O-E. Potato. E.
They were teasing him.
I
think that, I think it helps. It doesn't hurt. That's just, kind of my opinion. I think that there's an undecided voter and they get out there and they're like, you know what? I feel confident. A lot of people, we'll go back to Barack Obama. A lot of people felt that Barack Obama lacked a little bit of experience when it came to being president. And they felt Joe Biden had that experience. And so they felt like it gave them confidence in voting for Barack Obama. They were leaning towards him anyway, but it gave him more confidence, gave them more confidence in voting for him. And the same goes through with, other folks. You can talk about, Dan Quayle, Dick Cheney, there's just, vice president after vice president that people have felt confident, about. So I think it hurts, or I think it helps. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah. What do you think, Toriano?
Yeah, I don't think that. I mean, it's kind of like, no one really cares about that band member to a certain extent, because unfortunately, I feel like people don't really even pay attention to. I mean, I'm shocked sometimes when people don't even know who the president is. And that's a real thing. They don't even. They just don't follow. I mean, they don't. You can ask who's your mayor? I mean, who's your governor?
That's the 70% that doesn't pay attention because they're running their lives and yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So what are the next steps? Toriano, where do you see the next steps for these campaigns going? Not from a political insider perspective, just where would you predict the campaign's headed in the next 2 weeks, and what do you like? What would you work on if you were running both campaigns? Where would your emphasis be and focus be?
If I was Kamala, I mean, I really would like dig down into, and I really feel this because that's why if just from a marketing stance, I just feel like if I was on their team, like we have to like really knock this out the box. This cannot be a count off. This cannot be a recount. This cannot come down to the electoral college. It has to be 3 p.m. November 4th, and we're like, boom, pop the bottles. We got this, and they need to do some like really like grassroots, put their hand in the bucket, like something that is non-traditional. I'm just thinking about Jane Byrne, mayor of Chicago, that went and slept in the projects to prove a point. When she was like, you know what, I'm gonna get out there, and she won. I mean, I think it has to be something that you were not expecting, because I feel like, and then same thing with Donald Trump is that I feel like people knock him, and I'm not. People sometimes, are you a Donald Trump supporter? It's like, I'm not a Donald Trump. Here's my stance on stuff. I like marketing one on one, and I saw him in '06 at a at a real estate seminar, and we're all like, okay, he's gonna come out here, he's gonna talk about real estate, how to save money. First thing came out was like, we're gonna talk about prenuptial agreements, and he went on and on about prenup, and everyone just sitting there like, what, prenuptial agreements and real estate, like, and then he was like, I'm a man, I'm not gonna fuck up. And then he left the stage. He's like, it's like, I mean, from a marketing stance, like, he reminds me of the case studies of PT Barnum, where PT Barnum used to write letters to editors knocking the circus, and then people start going because they're like, it can't be that bad. So I'm just, my concern is just like, well, it's not even concerned. If I was Donald Trump, I'd be doing more cat jokes, because obviously him and Vance have this obsession with cats and people with cats. Like, I mean, could you have ever imagined in the history of any presidential election that your vice president makes a comment about crazy cat women, and then the president makes a comment about people eating cats and dogs? It's like, it's so outrageous. But it's like right now, with just how social media works, it's like, are you telling me he won because memes start circling around? And I saw it happen in Chicago with the last mayor election, where someone put a sticker that said Paul Vallis hates house music. And Chicago created house music, and I swear that killed them, because I mean, people were sending it to me. It was killing the internet. I feel like neither one of them are really putting their hands in the bucket. I mean, what do you think, Ellie, with the I mean, you get what I'm saying, that wild card TikTok, that wild card meme,
Sure.
that could totally just push anyone in any direction at any point.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
I
then
think, like,
Ellie's got to run, so maybe we get Ellie's perspective here, and then Ellie's got to get out the vote campaign that she's needs to get out and get
I
people
know.
out to vote in 106-degree weather in Arizona.
I know. I'm kind of looking forward to going, more towards like Wisconsin and Michigan here shortly. Yeah, I think you're right. Like, they do need to get out there and, start tackling stuff, or start tackling voters, and getting the issues in front of them, and getting themselves in front of the voters, and talking about the issues. And, I think that the that one of the things that Kamala Harris did well was, in the debate and recently, since she started running, is she has demonstrated that she is a serious candidate and someone to be taken seriously. And that is, that's the difference between she and Trump right now, right? He's even his supporters will say he's a clown. And and so, I think she does need to get out there, get out the vote. I think the difference right now, at least what I'm seeing on the ground, is people are not taking him for granted like they have in the past. They are understanding that this is a fight that is going to be won in inches, not miles, and they are willing to put in the work. And we have seen canvas after canvas that we've been here. People sign up, twice as many people show up, and it has been absolutely fantastic on the ground, because they're like, we can't go back, and we took him for granted once, and we're not going to do it again. And that's, I think, the important thing that I'm seeing here on the ground and that people are doing. And so the candidate, she's doing her job. We need to do ours.
Wow, I like that. Well, thank you. I mean, I think I'm really appreciating. These are fun for me, for everyone that's watching. This was new for us, just totally accidental. Zoom works sometimes, so you don't get to see me. But I've never. Today we streamlined this to YouTube Live, and then we're gonna reverse it and stream it back to Facebook. But thank you all for watching all this, and thank you all, man, for really. These are fun for me and informative for people, because people, they're watching, and I get people to say thank you, because a lot of people, honestly, it's a lot to process if you're not from this world.
Yeah. Well, I have a my wife and I end up about I don't know, I guess it was 6 weeks ago, we decided to, or 5 weeks ago, we decided to start sending out emails about informing people about Kamala Harris and why we were voting the way we were voting. And so we started a little site, we started a little email list, and it started with just some, information. And part of it was I had so many people asking me about her, about, how they could help, what can they do, things like that. So we started like, hey, let's collect this information. We have this knowledge. There's no reason we should just hold it to ourselves. Let's share it with everybody. So we sent it out. We got bumped by Google because we were sending so many emails that they thought it was spam. So we started a Google group. And so we send out like 2 or 3 emails a week, kind of promoting how to vote, voter registration dates. I have people ask me, hey, my son is in the military. How does he vote? I have friends abroad saying, like, how do we vote? So we put all of this together. And I'm in Phoenix, Arizona right now, and talking to some folks. And this gal said to me, and she said, I have a question. Can I ask you a personal question? And I said, sure. And she goes, are you the Ellie Schaefer that sends the political emails with your wife? And I said,
That's cool.
yes. Why? And she goes, my friend, and she named her friend. She goes, gets your emails and she sends them out to her list, and I'm on her list. And I was like, you're kidding me. And she's like, no. And I said, that's the best. And she said, they're so great. They're informative. They're like, there's talking points. There's how to vote. You guys are so good about, if you need to check your registration, here's how to check it. If you want to sign up for a phone bank, here's how to sign up for a phone bank, and all that stuff. And she said, I feel like I have the fullest toolbox for an election I have ever had in my life. And it was just really fun. But these conversations that we're having matter. And she said, I feel like I'm the most informed person in my group now, in my friend group, because of all the stuff that you're doing and you're talking about. And we send playlists, and we sent the playlist from, the roll call out to everybody, and, just different pictures from the road, and, stories from the campaign trail, and, like I said, how to register, deadlines coming up to vote and stuff like that. And so, that is getting out there, and an informed voter is the best voter. So, what we're doing here and what you're doing, Toriano, by giving us your platform matters. So thank you.
And I know you got to go, but I just want to say this to everyone that's listening. And this is not being cheesy, but just echoing what Ellie said. Those emails matter, because this is just fact. The average person has 2,000 followers. So if you send that to like 20 people, that's 20 times 2,000, right? You send it to 100, that's 100 people times 2,000. Like with my little baby show, 5,000 people engage with me every month. That's 5,000 people that are texting, that reply back, that send me a DM. 5,000, but that people like, that's not a big number. Some people say that's not a small number, but it is 5,000 times 2,000, right? That I influence in some shape. I know my power. You mean that's not 5,000 isn't even a small number. When you go 5,000 times 2,000, it makes a difference in somebody's life. So thank you all for sharing this. Because we do make a difference, and thank you, Ellie, for getting out there to get people to vote, because that's the thing. I get upset with people because they complain so much, and I'm like, dude, I had to shut someone up yesterday, and I knew I was going to go for the kill. I'm like, you're not even registered. Shut up. You mean like go
Exactly.
go get registered and vote. Stop talking.
Yeah.
For everyone that's listening, if you have a problem, go vote, because it does make a difference. It 100% makes a difference.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks,
Till next
y'all.
time.
Till next week.
Till next week, and we may have a special guest.
I love it.
Yeah, let's bring. Let's do that. Let's bring a special.
I have a guest lined up to talk a little bit about Israel.
Oh, nice.
Jump into the topic of Israel.
I love it.
We'll
I'm
get.
ready for that one.
I got a schedule. I'll text it to you guys, and we'll figure out a time.
All right, cool. Thank you all.